All right, welcome back. So now we have Steven with us, and Steven's going to be talking about Streamlit. It is one of the fastest way to build data applications and has been doing rounds about in both the machine learning as well as the software engineering world. And I'm particularly really psyched about this session. And about Steven too. A little bit about Steven. He is a CS finalist, and he kind of does work between software engineering and data science. So majorly around machine learning engineering stuff, and he's mostly focused around machine learning research and around product development around it. So Steven, great to have you over here, and yeah, looking forward to your talk.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm so excited to be here at EuroPython 2021. This is my first talk at EuroPython, and it's just so warm to be in here. So I'll be speaking about Streamlit, the fastest way to build data apps. And of course, my name is Steven Kolawole. In this talk, we'll go to the problem statement, why we need Streamlit in the first place. Um, Secondly, we're talking about Streamlit. I mean, what Streamlit is all about. And uh, the next stuff we'll be talking about will be installing Streamlit, and we get to play around with some demo. Afterwards, we'll move on to building a simple data app with Streamlit, and I'll show you all the building blocks of a simple Streamlit app. And then we'll be having a sneak peek at the different use cases, what people have been using Streamlit for. And finally, I would go to the cons of Streamlit and just reconstruct everything that doesn't make Streamlit the perfect solution to every web app problem right now. All right. So once again, this is my profile, and I'm Steven Kolawole, as you all know by now. I'm a machine learning engineer, and uh, I do mostly freelancing gigs these days. And I'm also a computer science undergrad, currently in my final year, and also my skill set is somewhere in the intersection between software engineering and machine learning. Uh, yeah, other fun facts, I've been a Liverpool FC fan since I was a kid. I use Python for almost everything. I use it for web development, for machine learning, for data science, analytics, and all. I'll prefer not to talk about that last part. Yeah, so moving on, what's the problem statement? Oh, shoot, I'm not plotting. Okay, so if you're familiar with the normal process of building data apps, right? This is the usual process. Uh, there's the data processing step, and of course, you carry a lot of analysis out in your notebook. Um, the thing is, notebooks are built for experimentation, right? For analysis, and most times they get to the they are not codes that you could share easily with people, right? And let's say you want to communicate your findings to other people, or maybe to your colleagues in your organization. So that means you copy the relevant. Well, you could always clean the notebooks, right, and send it to them. And you could also copy the relevant functions in a .5 script. And let's say you want to share it to a large number of people, or maybe you want to create a demo, then that means you need to create an app using Flask. And if you're creating an app using Flask, Flask is just for the backend. You also need to worry about HTML, CSS, JavaScript at the very least for the front end and functionality, yeah, of the web app. Yeah. So let's say you're in this ultra large organization, and you have a dedicated software engineering team, right? Then you could, and let's say you're pushing your code into production. So you could outline all the requirements on the UI UX designing, right? And you hand it over to the engineering team, and of course they could create a performance app, based on your requirements. And then the lead will probably tell you, hey man, we have lots of projects we're monitoring, so we'll only be able to carry out updates on your app, let's say once in few months or so. Now that's the initial process. Now that leads us to our pain points. Uh, the pain points are number one, the software engineering team. Uh, when you depend on them because they are handling lots of projects, that means that it takes up a bunch of your time, I mean, the communication to and fro is always difficult and messy to maintain. And of course, you can't just create new features and updates on the whim because the software development team have lots of projects they're monitoring, right? And most times we could create these apps ourselves, right? But the number one issue is some of us, if you're like me, I can't recognize a purple color from a blue color. So lots of us suck at design and we rather write code. I mean, we would rather write code for analysis or for faith engineering than write code for aesthetics. Yeah. And also, creating web apps usually consume a huge amount of our time. And you also need to consider the learning curve. I mean, you need to know how to create applications with Flask, and then you need to bother with the front end frameworks. Yeah. And also, yeah, I mentioned this earlier. Some of us we prefer to use our code to generate insights, and build models, rather than uh, use code to provide the user with aesthetic experience. So that leads us to this $1 million question. What if you could build apps as easily as writing Python script, right? Yeah, and that leads us to Streamlit. Uh, what's Streamlit? Streamlit is all about building apps as easily as writing Python script. uh, let's say you have a Python script right here, and then you sprinkle in a few API calls into your functions, and you move over here, and you can show up your beautiful and performant web app. It's that easy, yeah. And we'll go to a demo very soon. And one other advantage of Streamlit is that it covers most UIs using data app. If you build some visualizations in data, if you've been building web apps before, then you're familiar that you need to consider the layout, right? You need to decide maybe you want to place a particular chart by the side, or you want to place it, you want it to take up a rich space on your web app, right? You might want sliders, you might want checkboxes, you might want markdowns, right? And all these things they usually take up a huge amount of lines of code, right? But in Streamlit, you could just implement all this, with a single line of code. You could do something like import Streamlit as st. Then you could have st.sidebar, select box, st.radio, and so on and so forth. And I think that's very cool. One other stuff is Streamlit supports multiple interactive visualization libraries. If you're used to creating libraries, right? Then if they're used to creating visualizations, then that means Plotly, Author, Brocade, Matplotlib and Seaborn. And Streamlit provides support for all these libraries. I mean, I there's a project I'm working on currently using Streamlit as for the dashboard part, and I think I'm using Plotly for the visualization, and it supports lots of visualization libraries out of the box, and you don't used to get this that often. Yeah, so let's move on to installing Streamlit and play. To install Streamlit, all you need to do is to click install Streamlit, and then you try out Streamlit Hello. Yeah, so I'm going to try that out in my command prompt. So I'm going to do this Streamlit because I've already installed Streamlit. Okay, let's check the version. Oh yeah, so 0.84. That's the version of the Streamlit. If you don't have Streamlit installed already, you won't be able to do that. Right? So I'm going to try out Streamlit now. Oh, uh, Streamlit Hello. Sorry about that. All right, so you can see the local host 8501, and sustain this up. Oh yeah, so you could see the web app over here, and you could select different kind of demo. I'm going to select this, and what do we have here? You can see a little animation, and I think this is quite cool. Uh, I think this is quite cool. There is a place where we could check for the code. So I guess it's still running, so we can see that. Yeah, you can check out the plotting demo also. Yeah, and then you can see the animation. There's a little animation combined with the plotting. All right, so look at the code over here. And I think we did that in less than 20 lines of code. And I think that's quite cool. You know. Yeah. So moving on. Now that we've installed Streamlit, then we could play around with with the demo. Now this is a single hello world script. And all you have to do is to import Streamlit as st and then do something like this st.write hello world. And you could go over to your command prompt and do the Streamlit on hello.py, right? That's quite simple. I could do that over here. I think I opened the file over here. All right. So, uh, but I'm not going to run this. Let's play with a tougher, a tougher demo. And look at this. A sister of mine was learning statistics, actually, all the different distributions and everything. And it could seem a bit abstract if you're not from a math background. Yeah, and so I feel that it would be more fun if she could get to play around with what she's learning, right? So that was the inspiration behind this little demo app, right? So you can see uh, I imported Streamlit as ST and of course NumPy as NP. NumPy is a numerical computing library in Python. Uh, oh my God. Okay. Yeah. So we could have st.title, right? And you could say distribution tester. So we're going to have a big title called distribution tester. You could see st.write, right? We have the keys, which is a list containing normal and uniform. And of course, you could there's this select box. St the select box means you're going to have a select box, and the select box is going to contain normal and uniform. So if the user selects normal, you're going to have a randomly generated number between the range of 0 to 1,000. But if the user selects uniform, then you're going to have a list, an array of numbers, of 1,000 numbers, generated between the range of 0 to 100, right? And you're going to have a line chart plotting the norms, which is the result of whatever the user selects. So I'm going to go over to my browser and I'm going to try Streamlit run, run this tool file. Guys. Oops. Okay, so Streamlit run hello.py. Oh, no, not that. So the file. Alright, so it's going to open up on my browser. All right, so you can see that you can see the title, you can see the st.height, you can see the select box, right? And normal was selected as default. So if I change this to uniform, you can see that the chart is different now. And I think we did this um, in less than there 16 lines of code, with spaces and everything, more like 12 lines of code. And I think that's amazing. We couldn't have done that this in Flask, in that amount of time. All right, so moving forward. Um, okay, yeah, so moving forward. Uh, So we would have a use of some use cases of Streamlit, right? And then yeah, so the first one I'll show is this. There's this Uda City self-driving car photo data set. This was created by the Streamlit team, and you can run a complete neural net right in real time from within that app. I'll show you the link to this later on. Yeah, so let me show you some couple of others. Um, Oh, okay. Yeah. So, this is the demo I was talking about. You can check it out. Here's another link. This was created by a friend of mine, Moyosola. And here's another link. This is a link to the gallery, to Streamlit Gallery. The Streamlit Gallery contains apps that have been built by other Streamlit developers, across the globe. And you could see lots of interesting use cases over here. There's this. New York City, Uber ride sharing data, and you could see lots of stuff, lots of stuff. Yeah. So, and of course, it cuts across many fields. You see computer vision, you see computer vision, and you can see the UMA post estimator, you could see the nearest type transfer, and lots of other use cases of Streamlit, right? So you could check, yes, the demo of the self-driving car. So yes, the link to the GitHub repository. So you could check this out. You could check this out later, right? Yeah. So finally, this was the app that was built by this friend of mine. Of course, you could see lots of. You could see it's slider here. You could see. Um, you could see. You could select the kind of house, the kind of location you want. This was built for major cities in Lagos State. Lagos is in Nigeria, right? So you could pick any city. Let's say you pick Lekki, for example, and you could choose the number of bathrooms, the number of bedrooms, the number of toilets. You could choose all these options, and you could press evaluate once done, and you're going to have an estimation of the price of that house. Over here, I think we have 2.3 million naira, as the house, with the selected preferences. All right. So, moving on. Moving on. Yeah. So let's go through the reasons why Streamlit might not be that awesome. And I think the number one is the convenience flexibility trade-off. The fact that Streamlit abstract out most of this UI decision making for you, even though it's the point of strength, I mean, the source of strength is also a weakness point, right? Because uh, because Streamlit has abstracted out all these UI decision making for you. So that means that you don't get to have much say in the kind of UI designs that you want. I mean, you can just wake up, and want to have a chart embedded in another chart. You might not be able to do something like that with Streamlit. And actually, I feel this has been greatly improved on, because I remember the first time I gave a talk on Streamlit, which was about a year ago. You can't place a you couldn't place a chart, side by side, two charts or three charts side by side. But right now you could do that. You could play up to five, six charts as much as you want, side by side. Yeah. So another is the size of data input, and uh, I remember the first time I spoke about this, it was 50 MB. You can't upload uh, file files larger than 15 megabytes. But right now you can upload files up to 200 megabytes, and Streamlit is very flexible about the kind of files that you can upload and the kind of checks that you can put in place. And also, limited support for videos and animations. And as I was saying, all these cons are being greatly improved on. Yeah, even though the support is still limited, but it wasn't as limited as before. And you can build apps with functionalities, with complex functionalities. For example, you having a newsletter subscription, you having a user to user interaction, right? And let's say user authentication. But right now, you could actually have a Streamlit app with user authentication. I think lots of work going on Streamlit, and I think the future is quite bright for Streamlit. Yeah, and I was also saying, even still, Streamlit is still simple enough to use for every Python programmer out there, and it's superb if you want an iterative data app very quickly. But let's say what you want is an app with with a chatbot, still needs support pagination. But if you want an app with lots of complex functions, then you might be better off with Flask or Django. Yeah. So finally, these are the toolkits that you're going to need. Uh, as a Streamlit developer compared to a Flask developer. If a Flask developer, you need to know Flask and you need to know other JavaScript frameworks, other front-end libraries. For example, you need to know HTML, CSS, JSON at the very least. And but if you're Streamlit developer, you need to know Streamlit. And let's say if you want to containerize your web applications, then you could use Docker for that. All right. Having said that, thank you very much for listening to this talk, and I hope you're able to gain a thing or two. And you feel free to say hi to me on LinkedIn, and of course, you can connect with me on Twitter also. Yeah. So thank you.
Perfect. I'm glad you were able to, finish your talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
bad time to miss the notification of low battery though. All right.
Yeah.
So we can probably take one question, and people who have questions later on can probably reach out to you in the breakout session. So the question
Oh,
is,
okay.
can one password protect access to Streamlit generated pages, and can they collect information in a password protected area if they have more than one?
Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. I think some of the first use cases of Streamlit were as demo apps. I mean, it's not something that you could push into production. But these days, people are, creating production scale app more and more with Streamlit. And yes, this is something I think I still saw it on Streamlit. Discussion forum recently. I mean, somebody was asking a question related to this. And yes, you could have a password protect access to still generated pages. Yeah, though you might need to be careful with the kind of access that you give out to users. I mean, if your web app is containing sensitive information, but yes, you can collect password. You can provide access to password and collect that password and vice versa.
Perfect. Yeah. Good to know that. I hope that answers um, the person who asked this question. Um, with that, thank you so much again for your talk, and I hope people find you in the breakout rooms for Parrot for further questions.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much for having me.